So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be talking about video vixens in urban media. So I got the idea to do this video when I decided to go on a music video binge over the past few days. And I watched a lot of music videos from the late 90s and early 2000s. And then I also watched a lot of music videos from today's times. I feel like when you have guests over your house, the best thing to do is get on YouTube and just find a music video playlist of a whole bunch of good songs. So I was kicking it with some of my people, and every now and then I would glance up and notice the video vixen. Video vixens are considered music video models with captivating and alluring qualities about them, from their beauty to their body to their fashion and to the men that they are surrounding in these music videos. Video vixens became a subgenre of modeling. Now, as some of y'all know, I do have my modeling agency, which is the Queen Team Models. Here's our Instagram page on the screen. If you want to support me and the young ladies that are a part of my agency, definitely follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can check out our website. I just got done updating a lot of it. I will pin our socials in the comments. But I do offer music video modeling in my agency, as I do expand the modeling into so many other genres. And I think being a video vixen does have a negative connotation to it, even though it doesn't have to. Not every girl is some type of overtly sexual 304, but I do understand that video vixens can be synonymous with something like that, especially when we're looking at it from the urban side. Now, urban media kind of encompasses everything dealing with Black culture, hip-hop culture, or even street culture. So urban culture often denotes or relates to Black culture all over the diaspora. Of course, the most prominent and largest examples are showcases of the Black American market, but I think all Black culture plays into a lot of similar imagery. With the video vixen, we've seen the progression and the commodification over the last 35 years, and I actually think it's an industry that doesn't get enough recognition. I think the video vixen business is way more dynamic than people give credit to. As much as I understand why people look down on it, I think its evolution actually correlates with each era it has existed in. From the late 90s music, where video vixens were used to bring attractiveness and fun into music videos, and then into the 2000s era, where they were used to be sex symbols and arm candy to male rappers, and then even now, where both of those things still exist, but they're even more revered in some ways and also not revered in other ways. So I thought this was interesting, as I've never talked about this before on my channel, and being that I do book my models for music videos, and I've noticed misconceptions as well as changes with them being a video vixen. So I've broken this video down into one long overall main talking point. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So my one and overall point is really just discussing the history and evolution of the video vixen. The video vixen to me is a staple aspect in urban culture. And I feel like as much as we may overlook the women that we see in music videos then and now, a video vixen to a rapper is like Robin to Batman. And not in a patriarchal sense, but just the fact that they do go together. The hard part about discussing a topic like this is that on one hand, some women feel that this imagery is against Black women, as well as feeling that this industry exploits women. But then on the other hand, there are women who have no quarrels about using their looks to get exposure and also exploring the industry of modeling and the beauty world. I think I can honestly say that I'm on both sides, and I think it's completely based on the individual experience of each woman who has pursued being a video vixen. But I'll be real enough to say that historically, there is a pattern of how a career in doing this evolves over time. So I want to reference an article from okplayer.com. The article is titled "The Evolution of Hip Hop's Video Vixen." It is very, very lengthy, so hang in there with me, but I think the breakdown is phenomenal. So it starts with the 1980s and says, in the 1980s, hip-hop was fresh. The genre was only a couple of years old, and many assumed that it was a passing Black and brown-led fade like disco. It wasn't until the late 80s that record labels realized the power that rappers possessed. By the end of 1987, Run DMC had reached success with their crossover album Raising Hell, and Salt and Pepper had released the platinum-selling version of the LP Hot, Cool, and Vicious. With this success came the inclusion of rap in R&B and pop records like Bobby Brown's Every Little Step, which started off with a shot of two women walking alongside a hard-strutting leading lady. This concept was borrowed that same year by California-based rap group Oaktown 357, who arguably served as their own vixens in the video for Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. This is an idea that would later be revisited by rappers like Lil Kim, Trina, and Nicki Minaj. As for the hip-hop vixens of the 80s and even in the early 90s, they were essentially nameless and seen as embellishment. women. Being known was reserved for their white counterparts who appeared in pop and rock videos. So back to me, this beginning part of the article basically talks about the 80s. So the beginning of the video vixen started off as mere accessories and music videos, and in 2023, they technically still are, but the small beginning saw an increase in attention when viewers actually started to notice these women, and rap music also began to be more mainstream. So moving on in the article, the 1990s, which is music video staples. Pop culture archivist Brie Melandro said that video vixens didn't become the focus of most rap videos until 1995. Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back video was pretty popular, but I don't even remember the girls' faces being shown in that video, she said. LL Cool J's Doing It is one of the most memorable videos ever, and it's because of the women in it, Melandro said. Deion Sanders' ex-wife Pilar can be spotted in the white fur, leopard fuzzy sleeve jacket, and on the bed in the video, as well as RZA's wife Talani Robb, who licked LL's cheek and wore the iconic fur bikini. This went on to be a part of LL's aesthetic, and the videos he made for songs like Phenomenon and Imagine That follow this theme. Wu-Tang Clan's Ice Cream video is another standout, Melandro said. Instead of the guys just standing on the corner rapping, the majority of the camera time went to the women. Soon enough, video girls were everywhere, even in videos for artists outside of the flashy scene like Q-Tip. It was reflective of the larger ghetto fabulous era that hip-hop was experiencing and the emphasis on the Black American dream. Wealth, access, and excess inspired by blaxploitation films where central points of this dream and music videos were created to showcase this illusion. Being surrounded by beautiful women was equated with having arrived, and everyone wanted to look the part. So back to me, it's here in the 90s where the exposure and focus started to grow more, and video vixens became the rave. The reason why I feel like the 90s era of video vixens was one of the best eras is because they were obviously emerging as a staple part of the culture. And I think for Black and or urban women, it was one of the first times we got to see ourselves in a spotlight, and a spotlight that focused on our beauty. Now, I'm currently 25 and I was born in 1997, like I say in just about every video now, but I include that to measure how I really didn't live through this era as a teenager or young adult where I could remember this imagery. But as a young kid, when I went back and watched, I do recall seeing the 90s videos and how mesmerized I was to see a bulk of Black women being revered for their looks, especially urban looks, like the big hoop earrings and just all the urban fashion that was popular. In my opinion, prior to that 90s era, especially the late 90s, there really wasn't any other huge outlets for the average or local Black girl to get exposure. Things like beauty pageants and high fashion models were either for those who could afford to partake in them or for the select few token Black girls who got picked. But the 90s and really the 2000s video vixens as well became staples in music because it was one of, if not the first time, where ordinary women could be seen. And yes, being an accessory or eye candy or maybe even a prop to a Black male rapper may be considered a turnoff or disrespectful to some women, but we do live in a misogynistic world, unfortunately. Now, the next era is the 2000s. So the article says 2000s, the takeover. The early 2000s can be considered the peak video vixen era. A lot of the popular Instagram influencers of today still base their style off of these girls, Melandro said. This was also a time where streetwear was extremely popular, and it wasn't out of the ordinary to see these girls in ads. Magazines that catered to the audience that checked for these women existed before this time, but when King magazine was founded in 2002, everything changed. These women who were once getting a piece of the shine were now the center of it. Shake It Fast by Mystical allowed women to be the focal point of the video. Melissa Ford appeared in Shake It Fast, adding to her resume that featured clips like Jadakiss, Knock Yourself Out, and Big Pimpin' by UGK and Jay-Z. Melandro said that Ford changed the standards when it came to getting paid properly for work. In the early days of her career, she made $1,000 to $1,500, which was a lot to a young college student, and eventually $8,000 for 2 days of filming. Ford was also featured on the cover of magazines, which gave her the space to solidify herself as a brand. Melissa knew her stock and how important of a look it was having her in the video, Melandro said, and she made sure everyone else did too. Rapper Lola Monroe, who starred in videos for G-Unit and Kanye West, shared that she was making $10,000 per video at the height of video vixen's popularity. Monroe was notable for her successful transition into music, which proved that you could use your role in rappers' videos to bolster your own career. Perhaps no one knows this better than Corinne Superhead Steffens. In 2005, Steffens wrote Confession of a Video Vixen, a detailed series of stories about her single year as a video vixen girl and the behavior she witnessed. Industry insiders and other video girls viewed her as a snitch and a disrespectful anomaly. She wrote Confessions of a Video Vixen and somewhat exposed the industry way before DMs existed. Melandro said she changed the video vixen game and offended a lot of the other girls who said they always kept it professional on set. Steffens maintained that men are applauded for their sexual appetites, and she is saluted by some for capitalizing on her experiences. Her book has made the New York Times bestseller list. Bobby Brown, an 80s rock and roll vixen, and Instagram model Brittany Renner followed in Steffens' footsteps in 2013 and 2018 respectively when they wrote tell-all books of their own. The influx of video vixens in the 2000s also brought up conversations about the role vixens played in rappers' misogynistic attitudes. Nelly's Tip Drill video was perhaps critiqued most heavily. Spelman students protested against having Nelly appear at a 2004 bone marrow drive at the university. In 2013, Kirsten West Savali wrote, "They were seen as haters on a soapbox, more focused on proving a point about their brand of feminism than truly combating misogyny or caring for their sisters who weren't pursuing college degrees." Sex work as feminism and differing ideas of what qualifies as feminism are issues that continue to be discussed. Woo, now that was a lot, okay? But back to me. So the 2000s era was definitely the turning point of the entire video vixen industry. And I think that's because, like anything in this world, once it gets more exposure and people can cash in or capitalize off of it, it will definitely bring controversy, opinions, and debates. So just to point out a few things about this section, I'm happy that Melissa Ford pioneered the transactional part of this business, because oftentimes men in industries where you're dealing with women and their image being used or showcased think that they can pay you an experience. And I'll be the first to tell you that it is good to do things just for the experience at first. There's a lot of righteous and entitled women that just because they're cute and have a fat little booty, they think they deserve thousands of dollars off rip. And I'm sorry, but no. Because no. Everything you do builds your resume so that you can leverage yourself to make more when you have more experience. And you commodify yourself by being in the room with the right people, being professional, and being gracious for your opportunities. However, every model should know when it's time to start getting more money, and you measure that by your experience, your exposure, and your business connections. I really do believe that it's my generation, Gen Z, that doesn't understand work ethic. Instant gratification has absolved the yearning to take a diligent approach to whatever we want in life. There are so many factors as to why, but from my experience, the girls who worked smart and knew when to market themselves are the ones who made an impact, lasted in the industry, and most importantly, got paid. I 1000% agree that women should be paid for their time to appear in these videos, and I think what Melissa did was laid the groundwork for the video vixens to actually become a business or an industry. I also wanted to touch on Corinne Steffens. I did read her book, Confessions of a Video Vixen, a few years ago in college. It is a good read, and I actually really do think it's a great book. I see why it was controversial because she did drop some names and also didn't drop some names, but I think it was her story to tell. The vixens that were upset with her for exposing definitely give me a tidbit of jealousy and envy, because the book was more about her and what she dealt with and the reasons for her promiscuity and her sexual choices, and less about the other women in the industry. I'm gonna probably read the book again, but I think Corinne Steffens was also a staple in the 2000s video vixens era because she gave authentic insight. She showed that it's not all glitz and glam, and yes, you get perks of being tied to famous men, getting attention for being in music videos, the money, the bags, the trips, etc. But the side effect for most women was the misogyny, and also the backlash from other women who were adamant about video vixens not representing their version of feminism. There's always a downside in all realms of the entertainment industry, and I say that from experience. I think all women should know that before entering a field of work that will test your discipline, will test your self-worth, and your confidence. So you just have to make sure that you're cut out for this line of work, or go through reputable channels to ensure your financial and personal safety. The last era this article talks about is present day. We're almost done, y'all. Hang in there. So it's called Present, the social media shift. Instagram has made becoming a video vixen easier than ever and may have changed elements of the industry for both the better and worse. The newly established accessibility ultimately resulted in an influx of oversaturation of the market, devalued the once lucrative jobs of video vixens. The rise of Instagram saw everyday girls turn online followings into endorsement deals, and scouts started searching socials for popular faces instead of booking known models. It's clear that the game is not the same. The music videos with million-dollar budgets are over, and the shift that Oakland 357 participated in is complete. The video vixens are stars in their own right and lanes, much to the chagrin of Jermaine Dupri. Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, and the City Girls have mastered the art of serving up bars and body, becoming one-woman shows that record labels once paid thousands of dollars. Women are are controlling their narratives. Even the casting agencies that keep video vixens paid are women-led. But we can't forget or ignore the video vixens of the old days, the bold women who embodied the phase, if you got it, flaunt it. They walked so that the thick, unattainable digital starlets of today could run. I actually really do love the way how they ended that, and I will link this entire article down below if y'all do want to check it out. So my closing thoughts on this last part is that I agree with everything. The present day video vixen is the CPA in the local nursing home, the college student who does part-time modeling as a side gig or hobby, and especially the girl who just so happens to get more likes on social media than the average person. I also think that the surge of female rappers has altered the industry because these artists are giving all aspects of being a vixen within their own presence. They are like an isolated all-in-one package of what the video vixens traditionally brought to these videos and what the artists also brought to these videos. I also like how they talked about women-led casting agencies because that directly refers to what I do. So my goal is to give all of my models the start to whatever route that they want to take in modeling. It's really branding and development more than it is modeling, but I do encompass untraditional versions of modeling, such as the music videos, dance and performance, runway choreography, and really what urban models are most known for. I'm showing some of the examples on what my girls have done on your screen now, and it's so fun and so worthwhile to me. But I do hate the fact that people act like video girls don't deserve respect and don't deserve to still maintain a hobby or a career in this version of modeling. Modeling has so many different genres. High fashion is not the only version of modeling. Video vixens were the regular, average black girl's first exposure into the limelight, and overall, I think when done for the right reasons and with the appropriate showmanship, it's really a gem and staple in the history of urban pop culture. The last thing I wanted to discuss is how it's changed and if it's outdated. I will say that of course the industry has changed, and I credit that to social media. I feel like the thesis in a lot of my videos is how social media has affected society, but it really is the biggest factor in almost everything. The last part of the article talked about how the average girl is able to be their own contractor and appear in music videos when traditionally you would have to go through an agency, go through a casting call, or know the right person. And this still does exist, but literally people can go on social media and find the exact type of girl that they're looking for these videos. Another prominent change is the sexploitation. I think the word sexy has always been synonymous with video vixen, and that's not wrong. I will always say that I'm all for sexy, but I think the issue is now how far women are willing to go. Now, I will say when you read The Confessions of a Video Vixen book by Corinne Steffens, she talks about how she was one of the first video vixens to really push the line on sexiness. If you go back and watch the Mystical video for Shake It Fast, she wore a very revealing outfit that, according to her, none of the other women on set were bold enough to wear. And I think this began the trickle-down effect of how video vixens ended up being synonymous with overtly sexy or raunchy. What you see in rappers' music videos isn't the traditional look of just showing off your shape, wearing moderately revealing clothing, and just looking good and earning some side money. Now it's how far can you go? How much skin can you show? And how much can you equate yourself to being a hoe or a slut or anything surrounding that? And I know that is controversial and very harsh to say, but I just have to keep it real because it is pretty frequent in a lot of music videos. I think our generation as younger women, we don't realize that being unapologetic for being over the top in our sex appeal is actually ruining the industry. There was always a lack of respect for women. There was always the girls who were probably sleeping with the rappers, and there was definitely always girls who wanted to push the envelope, but it wasn't considered the norm back then. But in today's times, how sexy you are is almost indicative of how much money you'll receive, how much attention will be around you, and what is considered the standard of a video girl. I think the entire connotation of video vixen went from eye candy and being sultry and sought after to essentially cheapening yourself for the sake of attention. And a lot of these girls in these rapper music videos aren't getting paid a lot because in today's times, there's really no focal point on their beauty. There's just a lot of focal point on their sex appeal. So when I look at videos such as Gooba by Tekashi 6ix9ine, of course, those girls got paid, but that is more of the standard these days than some of the videos that we saw back in the 2000s. The last thing I wanted to say is that I don't necessarily think video vixens are outdated. I think they are a staple piece of the hip-hop industry, even in present times, but I do think that people don't value the presence of a video vixen anymore because there's a lot of women who are just bearing it all for free right on their Facebook pages. When I see girls post themselves scantily clad in demeaning formats, I just wish that even if you're gonna do that, make sure you're getting some type of compensation because men in the entertainment industry will always be misogynistic and they will always operate with patriarchy, meaning they will want to provide the least amount of compensation for the most amount of exploitation. So I think that in modern times, women who are looking to do video modeling have to present themselves as a brand, which is what a lot of these girls now are lacking. They think that their looks is the only thing that will get them by, but with the popularity and accessibility of plastic surgery, body enhancements, and social media filters, everybody has the same look. So nobody's really special for real. So when you erase variety and uniqueness, you're easily replaceable. And there's going to be another girl that looks just like you that will replace you. And as soon as you act up or do too much or show that you don't have any self-worth, you'll easily get used up because you're not operating like a brand. To me, the best thing you can do as a model, but specifically a video model, is operate like a brand. Don't give any free shows. Don't get on Instagram or Facebook and expose yourself unnecessarily, and always stand on business. Because what's respected in business is people who operate like a business in and outside of the industry. Overall, I think video vixens are really a compelling phenomenon within urban media, and I think the evolution of the video vixen is way more important than what people give credit for. Women capitalizing off of their looks is probably the oldest profession in the book, but the industry of being a video vixen that was created out of urban media is hands down a historical treasure in all of Black entertainment. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, go stream my song Ballin'. It is out on all platforms, and stay tuned for new music. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. I said 34 B cup, 30 in a D cut, 20 bad bitches QTM. Yeah, we up. 16 tops and bottles, man. I went and got my teeth done. 10 minutes with him, now his 15 minutes is cut. Never ever make a nigga think that he up, cause you a queen and I'm a queen. Now shout out to Latifah. Security in the back with a racket like Serena. Ex nigga crying, laugh at him like a hyena. Like damn, what you saying, daddy? Yeah, I know I got a fatty pussy. Talking to him, talk my shit. Yeah, I be getting catty. Play with me, I bet you won't. Fatty on his chest and now he calling me a stethoscope. Pink fit, look, think I'm looking good, incredible. Cutting niggas off, I'm coming through like a semi-colon mansion in the motherland. December come, that's where we going. Body hot, my niggas frozen. Niggas put my picture up and yeah, they go and get the lotion. And I'm the one that check up on. Feeling so lucky, getting green like a leprechaun. Run a few errands with the bag with the checkers on it. Push it on the floor because it's mine and I'm stepping on it. Get the cheese and keep